Namaskar, good evening. You're watching the Newshour at 9 and I am Swati Joshi. Well, today has been a triumph of one India. After 76 years of independence and 4-year legal struggle, the dream of Sardar Patel of a truly integrated Akhand Bharat has been realized. Remember, this was also the undying vision of Syama Prasad Mukherjee, the founder of Jan Sangh, who said, "Nahi chalega do vidhan, do pradhan, do nishan." Later, around 1984, at the Sangh Shiksha Varg in Pune, Narendra Modi called the Jammu and Kashmir land laws as discriminatory. In 1992, as part of the Tiranga Yatra, Modi unfurled the tricolour at Srinagar's Lal Chowk. This was a mission that Modi had embarked upon. Finally, on 5th of August 2019, Home Minister Amit Shah announced the abrogation of Article 370 on the floor of the House. After a 4-year legal battle today, the Supreme Court has upheld scrapping of special status of Jammu and Kashmir and upheld the abrogation of Article 370 as valid. In an order hailed as a beacon of hope for India's true unity, the Supreme Court said Article 370 was a temporary provision and the President has the power to revoke it. Upholding the bifurcation as well of Jammu and Kashmir, the Supreme Court has directed the Election Commission to hold elections by September 30th, 2024 and restore the statehood. This can be seen as a big boost for the Modi Sarkar ahead of 2024 Lok Sabha elections. As the Prime Minister made good on a key election pledge, today the Prime Minister calls it an order of hope, brighter future and resolve for a united India. He also vowed to work for the vulnerable and marginalized who suffered under Article 370. Let's listen into the BJP echoing the Prime Minister.
मान्यवर, न्यायालय ने माना कि अनुच्छेद 370 एक अस्थायी प्रावधान था, इसमें कोई शंका कुशंका नहीं है। ये संवैधानिक सत्य है कि धारा 370 अस्थायी समझ है। अब ये कुछ लोगों को पसंद नहीं आया। सवाल परसों तक उठाए गए। परसों भी लोकसभा में कहा गया कि ये बिल अभी लंबित है, क्यों जल्दबाजी में ला रहे हैं, सुप्रीम कोर्ट न्याय करेगी, आपको राह देखनी चाहिए। मान्यवर, ये सारे स्टैंड जो थे वो न्याय के लिए नहीं थे। नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने जो निर्णय किया था वो निर्णय को लंबित करने के लिए थे, उस इरादे से किए गए। ये बीच मझधार में 40 साल इन्होंने गलतियां करी, 80 के दशक से गलतियां करते आए, संवेदनशील हृदय से सोचते रहे, संवेदनाएं हथियार उठाने वालों के लिए रखे और इस 40 साल की गलती को ऐसा सोचते हैं कि मोदी जी के 4 साल में सुधर जाएगा। मगर आपकी बात सही है, अपेक्षा ऐसी ही रखनी चाहिए।
Well, immediately after the verdict, the marginalized and vulnerable in Jammu and Kashmir rejoiced. Finally, refugees from West Pakistan, Valmikis and even daughters of Kashmir get equal rights under the constitution. However, regional satraps who have seen power slip out of their hands have called this verdict against the idea of India. Listen it.
हमारे मुखालफिन चाहते हैं कि हम उम्मीद छोड़ के दिल बर्दाश्ता होके शिकस्त को तस्लीम करें, पर ऐसा नहीं होना है। आप जानते हैं कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने यह कहा कि 370 आर्जी है, इसलिए इसको हटाया गया। ये हमारी हार नहीं है, बल्कि आइडिया ऑफ इंडिया की हार है, हिंदुस्तान के तस्वुर की हार है।
हमारी कोशिशें यहाँ खत्म नहीं होंगी। हम सुप्रीम कोर्ट को रिस्पेक्ट करते हैं। क्या दोबारा अदालत के दरवाज़ों को खटखटाना हमारे लिए एक पॉसिबिलिटी है या क्या हम उस पर सोच सकते हैं? मैं कह नहीं सकता हूँ। हमें अपने वकीलों से बात करनी होगी।
रिजल्ट में अभी लाइव सुन रहा था और जो यूनानिमस जजमेंट थी, ये सुनकर बहुत निराशा हुई, बहुत अफसोस हुआ। ये आखिरी हमारी उम्मीद थी कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट इसमें सुनाई करे। जम्मू कश्मीर के सभी लोग, चाहे वो कश्मीर के हों या जम्मू सूबा के, वो खुश नहीं है।
नहीं, आज जो फैसला आया हम उससे मुतमईन नहीं हैं और मेजॉरिटी मोरालिटी की कामयाबी हुई है।
But has normalcy been restored to Naya Kashmir? Let's get you some concrete data. The number of terror incidents in Jammu and Kashmir have declined from 228 in 2018 to 41 in 2023. The number of civilians killed has also declined from 55 in 2018 to 13 in 2023. The number of security personnel who were killed in action has also come down from 91 in 2018 to 20 in 2023. However, Congress insists that Article 370 was unconstitutionally removed. Listen in.
We respectfully disagree with the judgment on the manner in which Article 370 was abrogated. We reiterate the CWC resolution of 6th August 2019 that Article 370 deserved to be honored until it was amended strictly in accordance with the Constitution of India.
कब तक आप रिमोट कंट्रोल सरकार चलाना चाहते हैं? आज 2014 के बाद वहां चुनाव नहीं हुए हैं जम्मू एंड कश्मीर में, तो मैं ये मुद्दा उठाना चाहता हूं कि डेमोक्रेसी नॉट ऑटोक्रेसी इज द डिमांड ऑफ एवरी सिटीजन ऑफ जम्मू एंड कश्मीर.
कुछ लोग हैं या कुछ साथी हैं जो अभी भी ये सोचते होंगे कि उनकी जो जिस भावना से 370 लागू हुई थी उस भावना के पक्ष में निर्णय नहीं है.
Well, as you heard, the India bloc contends that the people of Jammu and Kashmir have suffered after the abrogation and that they want a democracy, not autocracy. But let's cut through the political rhetoric and get you a fact check. There is 100% saturation in 17 central beneficiary schemes. 100% households in Jammu and Kashmir are now electrified. There are 27.42 lakh beneficiaries in Jammu and Kashmir under the PM Jan Dhan Yojana. Rupees 2,517 crore has been credited to 12.55 lakh farmers under PM Kisan Yojana. 3.84 lakh houses have been sanctioned under PM Awas Yojana. 12.53 lakh LPG connections have been given under PM Ujjwala Yojana. The numbers are there on your screens for you to see, and all the data, the reactions that we are getting, and of course the observations of the top court lead us to our legitimate question. The legitimate question is, why oppose Akhand Bharat? Why are still netas doubting the process, saying the procedure was wrong after the court has settled the issue of constitutionality?
You're watching the News Hour at 9. Debate number 1 on Times Now. Super Prime Time.
Let's open this up and go across to our guest tonight. We're joined by Sanju Verma, National Spokesperson of the BJP. We have Abhijit Iyer Mitra, Senior Fellow IPCS, Sushant Sareen, Senior Fellow ORF, Tehseen Poonawala, Political Analyst here in the studio with me. We have Sujada Bashir, State Spokesperson of DPAP, GM Shaheen, JDU President from Srinagar, and we also have Advocate Nilofer Masood, leader of the JKNC. Good evening to all of you. I want to begin with you, Advocate Nilofer Masood. The issue of constitutionality has been settled by the top court, and every objection that was raised on bifurcation, on whether Article 370 was temporary or permanent, on whether the exercise of power by the president was right or not, was it with a malafide intention, all of that has been settled by the court. Then why is it that Mehbooba Mufti still is calling this against the idea of India? And what fight are we talking here about that Omar Abdullah and Mehbooba Mufti say will continue?
There is no doubt about it that we are disappointed with the verdict which has come from our Honorable Supreme Court. In fact, Article 370 was enacted to put a seal on the commitments which was made by the Government of India when the Instrument of Accession was signed by the Union of India. And at that time, Jammu Kashmir was independent princely state. So the commitments which were made in the year 1949, it never came in the way of development, prosperity, because you could see that Jammu and Kashmir was one of the states which was in fact betterly placed than other states which are still underdeveloped. So we can never connect 370 with the development, prosperity and all that. It was in fact the commitments which were made by the Government of India to the people of Jammu and Kashmir. It's true that we are disheartened, but it never means that we'll give up. We have political way, we have democratic way and the constitutional right to disagree, dissent from the judgment which has come up. And we will see the ways and means how we can proceed further vis-a-vis the judgment, because still it has some gray areas which needs to be answered.
Right, Advocate
So
it will be better for our viewers as well and for the debate also if you can be very specific about the objections that you and your party leaders have now post the issue of constitutionality being settled by the court. If you could be very specific.
See, about the reorganization, the verdict is not clear about it. Number second, why the state has been degraded to the UT since there is no such provision in our own constitution which lays down as state can be degraded. It's again an open debate and it has not been answered there. Yeah, it's true that a state can be bifurcated, can be boundaries can be changed, or a new state can be formed by way of the Article 3.
Right.
But the answer has remained unanswered. In fact, that it has not given any verdict with respect to why a state of Jammu and Kashmir has been degraded to a state. This is one of the matters.
Okay.
And there are so many other things because we have to go through the judgment also, and when the judgment will be there, it will be clear. Article 370 was never enacted at a time when there were warlike situations. It is not like that.
On the issue of statehood, the centre has told the court, and the court has also now set a deadline saying conduct elections there by 30th September 2024. So the centre has already said statehood is going to be restored.
We have been hearing it from last so many years, and even our I.N.D.I.A has also said in the parliament also before some 4 years on 5th August 2019 that the elections will be held, statehood will be restored. These are all promises which have been made, and I don't find any such situation coming very near that we can expect these things to happen.
All right, so let's bring in Sanju Verma on that, on the promises that remain unfulfilled as far as statehood being restored is concerned, and we'll go across to other guests also. The grey area that you're talking about, Advocate Masood. Respond, Sanju Verma.
Swati, first and foremost, I think Prime Minister Modi and Home Minister Amit-Shah, let's be under no illusion. These are the two men who ensured that Article 370's abrogation was brought to fruition. Something that should have happened long back, immediately after the J&K Constituent Assembly was disbanded in January 1957. Be that as it may, I think very quickly, you put out some brilliant data. And adding to that, I will also say that, the most important thing which has happened post-abrogation of Article 370 is not the fact that 7th Pay Commission recommendations are now applicable there. It's not the fact that from being a par deficit, Jammu and Kashmir is virtually a par surplus state. I will not mention about the fact that in the last 9 months alone, 1.5 crore tourists have visited Jammu and Kashmir, and it has regained its buoyancy in terms of being a vibrant tourist destination. I will not talk about the fact that stone pelting incidents have come down by 99% and terror incidents have come down by 73%. I will not talk about the fact that earlier there was not even one nursing college. Today there are 1,515. Earlier there were only 500 medical seats in Jammu and Kashmir. Today there are 1,300. Or the fact that earlier there were only 4 medical colleges, today 7 more have been added. Or the fact that there's an I.I.T.I.A in Jammu, there are 2 aims, one which has come up and one which is underway. But the most important point is this, that under Part 21 of the Constitution, Article 370 was always meant to be an interim measure. It was meant to be temporary and transitional. And that is something which Justice CJI, Justice Chandrachud, reinforced in no uncertain terms. And, when this whole argument is being made by the National Conference, I earlier saw some tweets by Omar Abdullah which made zero sense, saying that, you can't degrade a state into a union territory. Let me tell you, this particular issue about the so-called degradation of J&K from a state into a union territory came up in February 2023. And a 2-judge bench led by Justice Sanjay Kaul, because the petitioner said that it is only the Election Commission which can decide, whether the state needs to be reduced to a UT status. And Justice Sanjay Kaul said that under Article Section 62A and 62B of the People's Representation Act of 1951 and the powers bestowed under the Election Commission wide Article 324, 325, 326, 327 and 328, the Election Commission does have the power, but the Delimitation Commission also has the power to reduce the status of a state to a union territory, and while the J&K Reorganization Act of 2019 and while the Delimitation Amended Act of 2002 if there has been a reduction in the status of J&K from being a state to a union territory, it is all good and kosher.
Okay, before Tessin, I know you want to comment, but before you comment, I quickly want to bring in Sujada Bashir, state spokesperson of the DPAP. Now, while Advocate Nilofer Masood said that 370 was never an impediment or hurdle when it comes to development of Jammu and Kashmir, when a law is discriminatory and does not allow equal rights to individuals, especially who belong to the marginalized, the vulnerable section, how can you say that there was development?
There wasn't any development. To be very frank, nothing has been done after the 2019, 5th August. They said that there will be a Naya Kashmir. What do you say by Naya Kashmir? There wasn't any development after that. Even the militancy is still there. The officers are getting killed. Does that mean that is a development? Our kids are still in the jails. Does that mean we are in a development? We have lots of unemployment here. There's no development in it. Ask the people of Jammu and Kashmir, are they happy with this verdict? No one is happy in this verdict. Neither the leaders, neither the people of Jammu and Kashmir. This was their option to remove it, and they did it. Rest, none of that. Is
that an individual opinion that you're Yes, is that an individual opinion of yours that people are not happy, or have we access to data of some survey conducted right after Supreme Court's verdict?
No, you asked. From yesterday we are watching that they have put so much of security. Why? If they said that there's a change, where is the change? Why they are so scared to put the security on the roads? If they said the people are happy with this verdict, then why to put the security? Why to make anything, such a thing that the people are scared to come out of the houses? They said that 5 people cannot gather at one place. What is the reason? The people are, just ask on the ground level, are the people of Jammu Kashmir happy with this verdict? None of them. And why it was supposed to remove in Jammu and Kashmir only? There are lots of states and jails.
People who have been discriminated against today definitely are rejoicing. People whose rights have been restored definitely are happy. Again, I'm asking you, are you putting forward only your individual opinion and speaking for the entire population of Jammu and Kashmir? Abhijit Ayar Mitra, Sujada Bashir says nothing has changed. There is no development. People are still getting killed. Our boys are still in jail. There's no development happening pre or post abrogation. Okay. Now take a counter, ma'am. Take a counter.
I'm saying yesterday only there was a fires on the Bemina area in Bishbara. So where is the development? So it means the militancy is still there.
Okay, ma'am. Please take a counter.
So why to remove the Article 3?
Take a counter, ma'am. Take a counter.
Swati, can I?
Yes.
Yeah, so thanks, Swati.
Yes,
so first of all, let's remember there's a huge difference between an insurgency and a random attacks of terror. What we're seeing now are terror attacks, which, if you remember, happened in Punjab as well. Remember, the Chief Minister Beyant Singh there was blown up by a suicide bomb well after the insurgency ended. So first and foremost, the insurgency has well and truly ended in Kashmir, number one. Number two, what has happened is the reason all these people are so upset was that the entire previous 20-30 years since 1990 have been an endless gravy train. Kashmir accounted for just 1% of revenue and 10% of all budgetary expenditure of the Indian Union. Okay, so everything that was good about Kashmir was essentially being sustained. Nearly 55% of the population was dependent on government handouts. Today, they finally started going back to tourism. Tourism has gone through the roof. This was always a tourism sustaining economy. What these people are so upset about is that the entire conflict economy of profiting off terrorism has ended. Why do they want elections as well? Let's talk about that. Remember that entire election setup was one of a gravy train where you keep circulating money, lots of it black money over and over again. So all of that has ended. Now, let's also be clear about the insurgency has ended. Development takes time, but right now you are seeing fantastic tourist development. What exactly do these people want in terms of change? You don't have those checkposts there anymore. The security presence is drastically reduced. Nothing has changed.
Come on.
Really? Is this based on some, self-ticketing, I'm a secular liberal, I know everything, etc. Yes, self-certification nahi chalta hai. This is not North Korea where you can declare yourself the Democratic People's Republic and decide things. Lastly, Swati, I just want to make a point. Ambedkar, who I think knows more about the Constitution than all of us put together and possibly even the Supreme Court put together, because he was the founding father of the Constitution, very clearly says this, that India is the indestructible union of destructible states. you go through the Constituent Assembly notes and his own speeches, he will show you in great detail how states can be destroyed, they can be reformed, they can be put to union territories, their legislators can be taken away, etc., etc., etc. If you will permit me 2 seconds, I'm just going to read out his speech, a short section of his speech from the 25th of November 1949. Ambedkar in the constitutional debates. It may be that the constitution assigns to the centre too large a field for the operation of its legislative and executive authority than is to be found in any other federal constitution. Okay. It may be that the residual powers are given to the centre and not to the states. But these features do not form the essence of federalism. The chief mark of federalism, as I said, lies in the partition of the legislative and executive authority between the centre and the units by the constitution. He does not say states. He says units by the constitution, which means you can be a union territory and the centre can decide what powers to give you. You can be a state and the centre can decide what powers to give you. There are places like Andaman and Nicobar and Lakshadweep, which are union territories which do not have a legislature. Are they any less democratic? No. I'm sorry, but this is not how things work. So, these people can concoct. Remember, we're talking about people who have essentially been living off the ruling class, who have been parasiting and living off the rest of India's revenues for the last 30 years.
All right.
They don't want to work for a living. Kashmiris are heaps happy.
Okay, Abhijit Mitra, I want to bring in Tehseen Poonawalla as well, because there are a lot of political reactions and it is quite contradictory as well. Talking about the I.N.D.I.A bloc, Tehseen Poonawalla, what is the stand of the opposition today? Because Uddhav Thackeray faction is welcoming this decision. On the other hand, many still, maintaining a safe distance from calling it a welcome step.
Sorry, first of all, thank you for having me on the show, and to Sanju, Abhijit, Sushantji and everybody on the panel and all our fellow citizens. I'm glad that this matter has been put to rest. 370 has been abrogated and the Supreme Court has put its seal to it. So congratulations on that part. It's now time for Jammu and Kashmir to heal and to move on. I think I disagree with Abhijit on one point and also with Sanjuji. The downgrading of a state to a union territory is unacceptable, and unfortunately the most honorable Supreme Court left that question open. So while I do respect and I absolutely welcome the honorable Supreme Court's judgment on 370 finally putting the final nail in the coffin of this demand of 370, this question should have been answered, because what Abhijit is saying is very, very dangerous. Look, the examples of Andaman and Nicobar or etc. don't hold true. Can my state of Maharashtra tomorrow suddenly the assembly be suspended, Parliament take upon powers upon itself of the Legislative Assembly of Maharashtra and downgrade it to a state? Or can my city of Mumbai tomorrow be converted to a union territory because the state decides it? It's very dangerous to think that. Can the Assembly of Karnataka be suspended permanently? Second, while I do welcome the SG's commitment and the Honorable Supreme Court's direction that statehood should be restored by September 2024 and elections be held, this is only the commitment of the SG. It's not only affidavit by the government of India. While Honorable Home Minister Amit Shah ji did say this in Parliament, this isn't an affidavit in the court. And therefore, I think the Supreme Court should have pushed the Honorable SG to bring this as a commitment from the government of India that statehood would be restored. Because every Kashmiri, I think, Jammu and Kashmir citizen does want the statehood to be restored. So I think that are two important issues that we have to grapple with as a nation. But I do agree with Abhijit totally on the part that what Ambedkar ji said. Look, we are an indestructible union. The union is supreme. And I think that's what the Supreme Court has upheld. Within the various identities that we all have, the one common identity between Sujada ji, Sanju, Abhijit, me, Sushant, all of whom of us are diverse, is the identity of being an Indian. That identity is absolutely supreme, and that can never ever be changed. So just one point. Anybody who dreams of anything outside the Constitution or the Union of India is doing a great disservice to this great country for which we all or our forefathers fought to give us this independence.
Okay, Sushant Sain, I want to bring you in because what Tehseen Poonawalla just said, is that a genuine concern? Is that just part of fear-mongering that tomorrow the government will and can take a decision on turning any state into a union territory? Chalo Maharashtra ko union territory bana dete. Is that part of fear-mongering? Is that a genuine concern?
No, I would imagine that's a genuine concern, because if you can do it with one state, you can do it with any other state. And if a government at the center is particularly vicious and has an opposition party, although you can impose president's rule if it's a reasoned order and there are compelling circumstances for it. But if the government at the center with a parliamentary majority decides that it's going to convert a state into a UT, then, no state is safe. And I think the Supreme Court has alluded to that particular issue, but not pronounced on it. And what the court, and I'm afraid I disagree with most of my fellow panelists who say that there's a time limit of September 24th. In fact, from whatever I heard, I have still to read the judgment, but whatever I heard from the pronouncements of the Chief Justice when he was reading out the judgment, it's very clear that the court has said that, look, we have not gone into this issue of statehood because the government, the central government, has assured us that statehood will be restored. They have not prescribed a time limit to it. So, and they have said that elections have to be held by September 24th, whether or not statehood is restored. That is what I heard. If I've heard it wrong, somebody should correct me. Okay. They have not prescribed a time limit, number one. Number two, I think the judgment today in it and of itself, Swati, was a historic and a landmark judgment because it settles a lot of these nonsensical issues which have been raised, including by people from Tehseen's party. This nonsense about India is not, it's a union of states and stuff like that. Utter nonsense. Which anybody who had read the Constitution would tell you what Abhijit has just said, that it is an indestructible union of destructible states. So yes, you can convert, you can lop off a part of a state and make it into a union territory, and you can do stuff like that. But, this whole thing that, it's the states have their own sovereignty, I think the court has shot that down. I need to clarify a couple of things which I think Ms. Masoodi was making. Number one, let's be very clear. The instrument of accession that the Jammu and Kashmir state signed with the Union of India is no different from the instrument of accession that every other princely state has signed with the Union of India. No different. Nothing whatsoever. Right? And I think the court has clarified what, how the subsequent process went on. Number two, there was this separateness which 370 seemed to have inculcated, at least at the psychological level. We might still have to do a lot of work on it, but at least legally speaking, that psychological separation has been finished with the constitutional reforms which took place on August 5th, 2019. I think that's a remarkable thing which has happened. The physical integration was already there, but the legal and psychological integration has now been completed.
All right.
It takes some more time, but I think that's been done.
Okay.
But I think
the psychological separateness that you spoke about, since GM Shine has not spoken.
Swati, allow me to say one.
No. Okay, quickly, if you could just... No. Let Mr. Sushant finish his point. I'll take a counter from GM Shine.
Swati, we have to be mindful of one thing. A lot has changed in 2019 in Kashmir. A lot of stuff for the better has changed since 2019. But I don't think we should be taken in by our own Kool-Aid. We should not be fooled by it. Okay. Kashmir remains a volatile place and we cannot be careful enough. So if, for example, there was some apprehension of breach of peace because of the Supreme Court judgment and you impose certain prohibitory orders, that's par for the course. That's purely administrative judgment.
That was keeping in mind the security situation there. Quickly. GM Shine, please, before you come in, Tehseen Poonawalla. GM Shine, Sushant Sareen says that the psychological separateness has been removed now. How do you respond to the verdict, of course, and what your fellow panelists had to say?
Swati, thank you. You are giving me the chance to speak in your program today. And there is a proverb that मेरा कातिल ही मेरा मुंसिफ है क्या मेरे हक में फैसला देगा. Just I was listening to Tehseen Poonawalla, I was listening to Sushant. I heard your BJP spokesperson.
Mr. Shaheen, are you saying that the Supreme Court of India is in cahoots with the government of India?
Will you give me?
Let him finish.
No, when you say मेरा कातिल नहीं
Would you
मेरा
allow me to
मुंसिफ है,
speak?
are you saying, I'm seriously asking you this
Would you allow me
question,
to
that the
speak?
Supreme Court of India
have
is in
not
cahoots with the
speak-
Union
Let's hear
government?
him.
When you were speaking, I never.
Okay, all right, Mr. Shaheen, go ahead.
But that's unfair to
No,
the
let him
Supreme
explain
Court.
what
We
he
can
said, why he
disagree
said.
with the Supreme
Let
Court.
him explain what he said and why he said
Be
that.
like a good person.
Go ahead, sir.
Be
Go ahead,
like
sir.
a good person, a good man on debate.
Gigi, go ahead.
And
Go ahead.
debate. Don't shout.
Who is shouting?
Shaheen ji,
See,
go ahead, please.
I was just listening to Asin Poonawala. No, I am happy that abrogation 370 has gone. Yes, nobody wants the abrogation 370. Would your state going to accept unity tomorrow? Would you accept? Would you know what is happening in Ladakh? Would you know what that Sonam Wanchik is doing?
Yeah.
Would you know he is on strike from last 2 years? Would you allow to the people of Jammu and Kashmir to speak? Would anybody, okay, tell me, complete day I was watching your television programs.
Thank you.
Would you tell me how many Kashmiri people was on your panel? Hardly we have two people from Kashmir. Right now, one is my dear sister or daughter. I can tell that is one of the advocate from National Conference, and my daughter is from DPAP Ghulam Nabi Azad Sab's party. I appreciate the brave girls. I appreciate them. They are speaking they are having the voice of the people. They are speaking on the behalf of the people of Kashmir.
Yes,
but
Mr.
the question
Shaheen,
is,
what is the point that you're trying to make?
From last 5 years, man, please let me speak.
Yes, I'm asking
Swati,
you the
madam,
point that you're trying to
5
make.
years has gone. 5 years has gone. Just ask Tahsin Poonawala, if in your state election will not be done in 5 years, what will you do? 5 years has gone. We are begging for elections, and you are not doing elections in Jammu and Kashmir. How much time you will keep the governor, lieutenant governor, on the head of our people here in Jammu and Kashmir?
Okay. On that issue, as far as elections in Jammu Kashmir are concerned, we'll take a response from Sanju Verma. But today, today, Mr. Shaheen, I believe you said that we knew about the verdict coming, and I said before that we should not expect much from the Supreme Court. What did you mean by that?
Problem is here.
Shaheen ji, when you said we should not expect much from the Supreme Court, what did you mean?
No, my question is only, I am Indian. Would you know that? What will Mr. Narendra Modi is telling me that I am the first person who had the flag in Lal Chowk. Would you know that in 1991 I was the first man who had the flag in Lal Chowk? Would you know that I have a bullet sitting in my leg? Tell me, whose DNA is first? I am a true Indian,
where did
or
this
your
question
cabinet
of...
people are true Indian?
No, but what is the point that
Please
you're trying to make?
ask
Again,
the
I'm
party
asking
and
you, sir, what is the
people
point
who
that
are
you're
true
trying to
Indian.
make?
My question is only...
Nobody is questioning if you made sacrifices, for the nation. Sir, nobody is questioning if you made sacrifice for the nation. Nobody is questioning if you made sacrifices for the integrity of the nation. I'm asking you the point that you're trying to make. Can you be more specific?
My only question, Swati madam, my question is, I am telling that I am true Indian. I am the first man who had the flag in my hand. But my country people, the BJP spokesperson, they are not going to accept. That is the problem.
Okay.
Can I please?
Then, sir, why do you need 370? We are all Indians.
No.
There should be true integration. Why do we need 370?
Madam. Sachin, I will come back to you. Just you want to make sure I will be here. But
are you talking on the phone or are you talking to me?
I want only my statehood back. Why don't the government of India is giving me statehood? Why don't you are giving?
Okay, why don't you give statehood
for elections in Jammu and Kashmir? What is the
Sanju Verma,
political leader today?
Sanju Verma, on the question of statehood, please respond. GM Shaheen is saying 5 saal ho gaye. Ab kab karenge aap? When will you restore statehood?
I'm answering that. First and foremost, I just want to say a couple of things. With no offense to Tehseen and Sushant Sareen, when they say that, it is indeed a dangerous trend, that any state's status from being a state could be reduced to that of a UT. That could set a precedent. I just have this to say. Bhai Sahab, I did not heckle.
Shaheen ji, please sun lijiye. You asked a question, now take a response. Statehood par aapne sawal pucha, sun lijiye. Please.
I just want to say this. that under Article 1, 2 and 3 of the Constitution, this was mentioned in the judgment given by Justice Sanjay Kaul in February 2023 and elucidated and elaborated upon today by the CJI, that the central government, in this case the Modi government, is well within its right and more to redraw the electoral and the demographic and the geographical map of India, what have you. So if Jammu and Kashmir has been reduced from being a state to a union territory with legislature and Ladakh a union territory without legislature, it is entirely constitutionally bona fide. Okay. Point number one. Point number two, even if you look at Article 245 of the Constitution, which delineates the powers between executive, legislature and the judiciary.
Okay, but Sanju Verma, can you respond to the one specific point, statehood, restoring statehood, when will elections happen?
I will answer that. If you notice, the recommendations of the Ranjana Desai-led Delimitation Commission report, Swati, came out in May 2022. And we raised the number of seats from 107 to 114. And it
Ma'am, elections.
Yes, I'm coming to that, Swati. Do not heckle me.
I'm not heckling you, since that's one question all the panelists have asked, and I have to move on to debate number 2 also.
Yes, so I'm just saying that it is only a little over a year back that we decided that scheduled castes will get 7 seats, scheduled tribes will get 9 seats, 1 seat will be reserved for a person displaced when PFK happened, 2 will be given to Kashmiri migrants. This entire semantic was brought to fruition only a little over a year back. So yes, if the Supreme Court has said September 30th, 2024 is the deadline, so be it. We will adhere
to so the government says we've made that promise. Tehseen Poonawalla, I am short on time here. Can you very quickly, in just 10 seconds, make your point?
2 things. The question of can a state be reduced to union territory under Article 3 has been left open by the Honorable Supreme Court, and that's my disappointment. They should have done that, because I agree with Mr. Shine. You cannot do it. But more importantly, Sushant, just to read out a portion that is relevant for us, we direct the steps shall be taken by the Election Commission of India to conduct elections to the Legislative Assembly of J&K, constituted under Section 14 of the Reorganization Act by 30th September 2024. The restoration of statehood shall take place at the earliest and as soon as possible. So the statehood has to come first before the elections. It's extremely clear. There is no ambiguity in this.
Okay, the next, of course, the next big step is restoration of statehood. The next thing that everybody is going to watch out for are the elections, and the big question from the center is, when is that going to take place? Gentlemen, Sanju Verma, Sujada, Bashir and Advocate Nilofer Masood, thank you very much for joining us on the broadcast. Sanju Verma, Abhijit Iyer Mitra, Tehseen Poonawalla will stay on with us for debate number 2 as well.